So our next biome that we are going to be discussing is our tropical rainforest biome. So this biome has the most biological diversity. Our biological diversity can also be called our biodiversity. Now the trees in this biome are going to form a very dense green roof, which is known as our canopy. Now the canopy, as we can see right over here in this image, makes up one of the 4 layers of our tropical rainforest. Our topmost layer, which is going to be directly above our canopy, is going to be our emergent layer. The layer directly below our canopy is going to be our understory layer. And our 4th and final layer, which makes up our bottom forest floor, is going to be our undergrowth layer. Now, the canopy layer is going to be very rich in biodiversity. There are going to be many different species found in this layer, including many different species of birds. Now, you would think with all of this biodiversity that this biome would be very rich in nutrient soil. But in fact, this biome's soil is very poor in nutrients. It has some of the worst soil. Now again, most of the animals that live in this biome are going to be living in our canopy layer. And the trees that grow in this biome can grow roots that are above ground. We are going to be seeing a picture of this on one of the later slides because some of these roots can get ginormous in size. This biome also has the most rainfall. If we look right up here, we can see that the average yearly rainfall is going to be around 400 centimeters, which is an enormous amount of rain. Now, the average temperature in the nighttime is going to be roughly 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and our average temperature during the daytime is going to be roughly 88 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, we have normally talked about our temperatures varying on season. But now we have our temperatures, our average temperatures for our nighttime and our average temperatures for our daytime. This is going to be because our tropical rainforest is only going to have one season. Can you guys guess what that season is going to be? Our season that our tropical rainforest has is summer. So since it only has one season, we're going to be talking about the average nighttime and the average daytime temperatures. So there's also going to be a video that you guys can go watch. So if you want to take a few minutes to watch that video, please do so. So now we are going to be looking at a map to show where tropical rainforests are located around the world. As we can see, the tropical rainforests are going to be indicated by this green color. So we can see that there are some over here in South America, as well as Central America over by the Panama Canal. We can see that there are some over here in Africa, as well as a little bit over here in Asia and Australia. So now we can see that all of this green is going to be very close to our equator line that goes through the center of our map. So that shows that our tropical rainforest is going to be closest to our equator. Now, students often make the mistake that the desert is closest to our equator because it is very hot. But in fact, our tropical rainforest is going to be what's closest to our equator, not the desert. So please make sure you know this now. As we talk about the rest of our biomes, we will be discussing their proximity to our equator. So we will be talking about which ones are furthest north, which ones are located here in the middle, as well as which ones are located closest to our equator. Alrighty, so now we are going to be talking about the many different animals that can be found in the tropical rainforest. Just by looking at these pictures, we can see examples of camouflage, warning coloration, and many animals that are brightly colored. Now, sometimes these brightly colored animals are going to be animals that are poisonous, but some other times they are going to be brightly colored to attract a mate. Now, remember there are many different limiting factors that organisms are going to compete for, and one of those limiting factors is going to be mates. We can also see many organisms such as piranha, bullet ants, and sloths that can live in this biome. There are also going to be animals such as poison dart frogs, toucans, and even some snakes such as the anaconda and green mambas. We also have a jaguar over here that is showing its camouflage, as well as gorillas. So now we're moving on to the different plants that can be found in the tropical rainforest. So since we are finally talking about plants that can be found in this biome, I can show you guys that picture of the trees that grow above ground roots. So as you can see in this picture, there is a man standing next to these roots. He is going to be roughly the same height as Mr. Carver. So that means that the roots that he is standing next to are going to be about 6 feet tall. That is insane that they grow this tall just because our soil in this biome is so poor in nutrients. There are also other plants that are found here in this biome, including many different types of bamboo shoots, as well as woody vines, and some carnivorous autotrophic plants. Now these carnivorous autotrophic plants can eat many different small rodents, including rats and mice, as well as other insects. They are also going to be bigger than your average Venus flytrap. And yes, again, these are carnivorous autotrophic plants. So this slide is going over the reasons for the poor nutrients in the tropical rainforest soil. So go ahead and pause this slide so you can read the first 3 bullet points on your own, as I am going to be focusing on this last red bullet point right here. So it says that the high volume of rain in the tropical rainforest washes nutrients out of the soil more quickly than any other climate. So the high volume of rain is going to be the biggest reason for the poor nutrients in the soil for the tropical rainforest. So the tropical rainforest also provides us with many advantages, including plants that we can get ingredients from to create different medicines. Now, as you can see right here, 25% of the ingredients in our medicines are derived from rainforest plants. It also says that less than 1% of the plants in the world's tropical rainforest have been tested for their medical properties. So how many other medicines do you think we can derive from the tropical rainforest? This is what makes me sad about the decline in the amount of tropical rainforest around the world. Less than 2% of the earth is covered in tropical rainforests, and that number is decreasing every single year. So there are many environmental impacts that are really hurting our tropical rainforests. As you can see here, logging has a big impact as we are cutting down trees that are between 350 to 500 years old, which is providing wood. Then we also have mining, which is looking for coal, diamonds, as well as other ore. We also have power plants, agriculture, the cattle industry, as well as hydroelectricity projects, and all of these are decreasing the amount of tropical rainforest every single year, like we mentioned. So some of the structural and behavioral adaptations that I'm going to be talking about are very important for you to know for your test. The toucans are brightly colored, the lemur is a beautiful creature, the songbird is able to chirp, and the jaguar over here has camouflage, as we mentioned before. Although this animal, this frog right over here, no matter how cute he may seem, he is brightly colored. And remember, sometimes bright colorations are warning predators to stay away, and this is called our warning coloration. Now we also have our alligator and our crocodile down below. These organisms are very similar, but they do have their differences. Crocodiles are going to have a more bulbous shaped head. Now both the crocodile and the alligator are going to bask in the sun, and this is so that they can digest their food. It helps them to digest their food. They are ectothermic organisms, which means that they cannot regulate their own temperature like we can. So this means that they do not sweat. We are endothermic, so we sweat, whereas theirs ectothermic. So now we are going to be reviewing our knowledge about symbiotic relationships, or symbiosis. So there are 3 different scenarios on this slide that we want you to read through and to try and figure out what type of symbiotic relationship it could be. So remember, our 3 types of symbiotic relationships are mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. So please pause this video and take about 3 minutes to try and figure out what 3 types of symbiotic relationships these 3 scenarios are. So now that you've had a few minutes to pause and read through each of these scenarios, let's go over them really quickly together. So looking at this top one right here, it is talking about our 2 organisms, which is our leafcutter ants as well as our fungi. So it says that our leafcutter ants are protecting the fungi from pests and mold, and the fungi is providing a place for the ants to keep their larvae as well as feeding the larvae. So both the ants and the fungi are benefiting. So when both organisms are benefiting, this is going to be a mutualistic relationship. Our second scenario over here is talking about our strangler figs and trees. So we have actually talked about strangler figs before, just in a different scenario. So it says that our strangler figs are going to kill our tree, which is our host. So whenever we have a scenario where a host is being harmed, we know that this is going to be a parasitic relationship. So in this instance, our parasite is our strangler fig. Our last scenario right down here is between our antbirds and our ants. And if we look right here, it says that one organism is being helped and benefited while the other is being unaffected. And we know that when one organism is being unaffected, this is going to be a commensalistic relationship. So we have finally made it to our Frere model notes, which you guys should be familiar with by now. So again, our title, which is our tropical rainforest, is going to go in this center bubble right here. Our top left corner is going to be our location. So make sure you get down that this biome, our tropical rainforest, is going to be the closest to the equator. Also include the different continents in which our tropical rainforest can be located. In this top right box, you're going to have your climate. So make sure that you put that it's hot and humid, as well as this is the biome that gets the most rainfall, over 400 centimeters per year. Don't forget to include your flora and your fauna down here in this bottom left corner. And these are just a few of the examples. You can also include many of the examples that we discussed during our slides. And our last one right over here in our bottom right corner is going to be interesting facts. Now these are going to be the facts that might show up on your test. Hint, hint. So if we bolded anything, those are going to be very important to know. So make sure that you look at that it has poor nutrient soil, that it only has one season, which is the summer, and that we know about the canopy as well as biological diversity. This is the biome with the most biological diversity. It might also be good to learn the 4 different layers that make up our tropical rainforest. Now please take about 5 minutes, pause this screen, and get down all of these notes. Again, you can go back and include anything that I talked about in your slides and add it to your Frere model.